I want to talk a little bit about a NBC Today Show interview with Virgin Atlantic CEO Richard Branson, who is a very interesting guy who's got a new book out. And part of his thesis is that the driving force behind capitalism should not be making a profit. But, of course, that's precisely what the driving force is, and that's exactly how we want it. But apparently, he doesn't think so. Let me play a little bit of the introduction and then his comments. Here, cut number one.
In his new book, Sir Richard Branson argues the driving force behind capitalism should not be about making a profit. It's about caring for people, communities, and the planet. The book is called Screw Business as Usual. So it's a different kind of capitalism. You're not saying that once you become successful, you abandon the principles of capitalism. You just adjust those principles. Do you think if more people at a later stage in business embrace these kinds of ideas, we would see less of a backlash, the kind of backlash that we're seeing in streets of cities all across the country and around the world right now, the so-called Occupy movement?
Anyway, here's how he answered, and then I'm going to give you my take. But he doesn't really answer all that. But I got this cut number two.
Well, I'm actually a supporter of Occupy Wall Street.
Tell me why.
Well, first of all, it's peaceful demonstrations by and large. They're demonstrating because they don't like business as usual. They want to see business change, and I think they're right in wanting to see business change.
Yeah, what Richard Branson ought to do is look at my interview on YouTube to find out the changes that they want. See, most of the people who are occupying Wall Street, what they don't like is capitalism, and they want socialism instead. They want to redistribute the wealth. Now, I want to go back, though, to supposedly the point of Branson's book, that the driving force behind capitalism should not be profit. Well, then what's it going to be? Now, according to Branson, it's, just making the world a better place. Well, how do you know you're doing that? Profit is what tells you. You see, in the world, we have scarce resources. We don't have everything. It doesn't exist in an infinite quantity. You only have so much land. You have so much labor. You have so much capital. And the idea is for a businessman to figure out how to combine those factors of production, those resources together, to try to satisfy human desires, which, of course, are unlimited, right? Resources are scarce and limited, but desires are unlimited. And so how do we do a good job of taking those scarce, limited resources and combining them in such a way that we satisfy as many human desires as possible? And the way you do that is through a profit motive. Because if a businessman can combine those factors, and the cost of combining them is less than the price he can charge for the finished product, whether it's a good or a service, he has succeeded in creating value for consumers. He has satisfied some human desire or need with those limited resources. Now, if you put those resources together and you can't produce something that somebody wants to buy for a higher price than what it costs you to make it, that is the market telling you you are wasting society's resources. Stop what you are doing and allow some other entrepreneur to hire those factors of production, land, labor, and capital, and try to combine them in a more efficient manner so that we can satisfy some desire. And by doing that, when all the businesses are operating at a profit, that means all the resources are being utilized effectively. Also, think about it this way. If I'm running a business and I don't generate a profit, how am I going to pay my employees? How am I going to pay my rent? How am I going to pay the interest on the loans for my capital? I can't. Now, maybe somebody would argue, well, you don't need a profit. You just need to break even, because you don't need a profit to pay your employees. You just need to break even. Well, if I just break even, what's in it for me? What's in it for the businessman? Is somebody in business to break even? Of course not. They need to make money. They got needs too. They got desires. They got families. They need a profit. Without a profit, there's no businessman. Now, maybe what Richard Branson is saying is that everybody should just operate businesses as a humanitarian. Well, maybe if you're as rich as Richard Branson, you could do that. But is society really going to benefit if Richard Branson, because he doesn't need any money personally, he's a billionaire. So if he decides, hey, I just want to run businesses that I think are going to help the public, regardless of how much money I lose in the process, would he really be helping society? I would say no, because then he would go from an efficient custodian of our resources to a squanderer. That's not what we want. If he wants to give money to charities, fine. But don't run your business like a charity. That's not what we want. Run your business like a business. Go out there and make a profit. And if you make a profit, that means you succeeded in taking society's scarce resources and creating value that benefits everybody. That's capitalism. Richard Branson made a lot of money because of capitalism. He needs to defend that system, not sell it out because it sounds better. Yes, I'm sure a lot of people think, oh, what a nice guy. He doesn't think business should make a profit. He thinks they should just do what's socially responsible. Yeah, see, that's the easy way out. That's the cop-out. Instead of trying to educate people about why profits are responsible, he takes the cheap, easy way out to be liked.
The Peter Schiff Show.